You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of Cult of Lore. I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
This is actually going to be a little different. You guys might have noticed there was no quote. We kind of apologize, but this is not a normal episode. This is actually going to be a book review.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. It's a pretty big book in the fandom. We couldn't really pass this up.
Yeah, this seemed like this was going to be one, like, books come and go, but this seemed like this is going to be one of the ones that defined a lot of heavy shit. And you know what? It did.
And a lot of what we want to do with this show is like encourage people to look into the different lores and learn, give you just enough to entice you in and then start finding.
Because this is just book 7 of a series of books inside a much larger series of books.
So we're going to talk about it. It's going to be pretty spoiler heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch on all the different subplots. There are quite a lot of them. I want people to go read them, but there is going to be heavy spoilers, just be aware.
Yeah. And if you want us to, we're trying this out. If you want us to do more book reviews in the future, letting us know would help with that.
I've gone through a lot of them.
Yes.
So we can start doing them. I know I would do Flight of the Eisenstein would be next.
Oh,
if they wanted another one, I would do Flight of the Eisenstein, because that's one I think anybody who's getting into the lore to actually read the novels and the books should. You don't have to start there, but it should probably be second or third.
Yeah.
Because I always go with the person or the thing that got you interested into it. What I do is I find whatever seems to be the common consensus. This is the best book of that. And then I branch out from there.
Right.
Fuck doing it in order, because I already know kind of the ebb and flow of things. There are certain hard points that they just can't change.
Yeah.
So once you kind of figure out the general base timeline, and you figure out who the characters are, I can jump in and out of them. Book 7, book 2, book 4.
Like, this is where they are in their
and it doesn't really take away from me. Now, I have no doubt that there's something to be said for following the characters from the first book to where they are now.
Right.
But also, 40K don't run that way, and the books don't even run that way.
Right.
You'll hear a character's journey will start in book 2, and then you won't hear from them again in any way, shape, or form until like book 6.
Yeah, and that's just the way it goes with something this big. That's got to be how it goes.
So
yeah,
reading it in order is not even necessarily reading it in order. But anyway, the book, without hiding the ball anymore, the book is Echoes of Eternity, which is book 7 of the Horus Heresy. I was super excited for this.
Yes.
I the minute they announced it, I had it on pre-order. I couldn't wait, and it took me 3 days to get through it. 2.5, actually. And man, it was pretty great.
Yeah, I know you were really excited to get to it. And
yeah. So
pretty excited. As soon as he was done, he was like, "We've got to do a book review on this."
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's not all just about the big shiny things that they told us was coming. There's a lot of good small stuff in there too. So obviously the big draw to Echoes of Eternity is Sanguinius's famous stand at the gates of eternity, the final bastion before the Emperor's throne room. So we're in the Horus Heresy is at its apex, pretty much. It's the siege of Terra is on, and in fact it's gone very poorly for the Loyalists. They've fallen all the way back to the palace. Now, what you have to remember, again, the Emperor's palace takes up an entire continent by itself.
Right.
So, like,
Jesus,
they've still got a lot of ground as far as what we would consider ground to be.
Right.
But to them, this is like nightmare scenario. You You don't have to read Warhawk, which is book 6, the one that came out right before this, but it would definitely help. It explains kind of why they don't get more help.
Okay.
And why things kind of get so shitty.
Right.
So we'll back up a little bit and we'll do a little Warhawk and then we'll ramp right into it. So in Warhawk, you have 3 Primarchs, Loyalist Primarchs defending Terra from the traitors. You have Sanguinius, the Primarch of the Blood Angels, my father. You have Rogel Dorn, the Praetorian of Terra, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, and he's kind of in charge of this whole thing. Now, Sanguinius and the other one is actually Jagatai Khan of the White Scars. Now, the two, Sanguinius and Jagatai, don't actually answer to Rogel, and they know that. However, they all understand that Rogel, this is his thing. Like, Rogel Dorn and the Imperial Fist, their entire, like, being is building up walls and defenses and bastions and being the kind of the antithesis of the Iron Warriors, which there is all about tearing down walls. So they understand that he really is the right guy for this. The problem is Rogel doesn't really return that in kind. He expects Sanguinius and ridiculously Jagatai to adhere to a very strict plan and follow it to the letter, which Sanguinius won't do out of a sense of morality. Right. Yeah. If he's like, I'm supposed to hold this area, but I see that these people are getting slaughtered over here, he's not going to stay there.
I see.
He's going to go help.
Okay.
Jagatai won't follow it because Jagatai just don't do that.
He's all about movement, speed,
freedom.
Yeah.
He's actually all about freedom.
Right.
So he's kind of having an in and out with them. And the traitors have taken the spaceport. I think it's the Luna spaceport. I could be getting that wrong.
Okay.
But Jagatai, it's the Death Guard that take it over. And so we have, on the traitor side, we have Mortarion. We have, I believe, Logar is there. And Perturabo. Now, there are also Astartes from all the traitor legions are there.
Okay.
There are and of course, Angron is there. So it's 4-3. So you
okay.
And Angron is Demon Primarched by now.
Okay, so it's already happened.
It has.
Yeah.
Fulgrim is Demon Primarched by now, but I don't believe he's actually at Terra.
Okay.
I could be wrong. He didn't show up in either of those books that I can remember.
Okay, so if he's there, it hasn't shown up in the books yet.
It hasn't shown up by now. And so Mortarion and the Death Guard are holding the spaceport, which is keeping their flow of troops completely wide open and is kind of the source of all anti-air fire, so they can't even return fire to the traitor legions because they have this support. Jagatai leads a strike force to retake the spaceport. He does, and he even succeeds in battling Primarch Mortarion and banishing him back to the warp, removing his presence, which was a good thing because Mortarion had figured out that he could actually sit and just radiate misery from himself, literally. And it would literally just drag the loyalist forces' morale down, and it would wilt plants and it would kill things. And even Rogel Dorn was starting to feel it, like he was getting tired and his brain was getting foggy and he was having trouble keeping track of everything. And this was actually all coming from Mortarion.
Yeah.
So Jagatai, big gambles, gets Mortarion off the board, but he does it at his own cost. He is waylaid. Stand by for dog. So Jagatai is able to remove Mortarion from the board, but he is also so injured that he's no longer functioning.
Yeah.
And it costs quite a bit of White Scars to do it.
Oh boy.
And it takes what's left of them to hold the port. So the White Scars are pretty much off, completely removed.
Right.
But so are the Death Guard. The Death Guard have just kind of fallen apart because this is the first time they're still figuring out how the warp works. And now that they're like plague ridden and they're the Chaos Marines, they're connected to their Primarch in a more kind of psychic way now that he's a Demon Primarch. And then that sudden removal, they've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what the fuck to do. So they started pulling back.
So now it's kind of 2 Primarchs to 3.
Right.
Right.
And then Angron shows up and just kind of tilts the whole thing. And they just can't deal with him. And the traitor legions, they just have, and this is where we're kind of moving into Echoes of Eternity. When we pick up into Echoes of Eternity, it's chaos has completely, like the sky is ripped open and it looks like the warp, like basically. And it's gotten so saturated with warp energy that if a drop of blood spills on the ground, it's enough for a demon to start crawling out of it.
Oh, fuck. What?
Yeah. Like
that.
So they're able to just keep throwing troops at the Loyalist legions. Like it doesn't matter.
That's a lot of demons.
It is. And it's kind of cool. Nasir Ahmet, his nickname is the Flesh Terror. I'll get into that a little bit later. But he, when you follow him, his inner monologue keeps referring to them as demons, even though he doesn't want to use that word. And he keeps like chiding himself. He's like, this is stupid. You know what they are. They're demons. Just use the word demons. And he's like, I don't want to.
I don't want to say it.
Yeah. And that's a reoccurring theme kind of throughout this book, is that people that aren't like on the front lines are still having trouble grasping kind of the concept of demons.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I guess this is really before people really knew. Well, I mean, I guess often you don't know what chaos is in the Imperium,
anyway. But this is before even the Astartes had a real.
So that's something that keeps getting lost on me with the Horus Heresy, is like how
unprepared.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was bad.
That's crazy.
But one of the good things is that the Emperor himself is holding. He's sitting on the golden throne and he's keeping the demons from the webway at bay. But he's also keeping his psychic fields of the palace intact, so things that are warp-born can't penetrate through.
Okay.
That also means that Angron can't penetrate through either.
Oh, okay.
So he's crashing and thrashing at it and trying to beat his way in.
So he's right at the palace doors.
Right at the beginning of the palace. The continent palace, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Loyalists are just holding out, and then we get a side plot that made me giddy as fuck. They advertise very heavily that in this book it would be Primarch v Primarch. It would be Sanguinius versus Angron. There was no hiding the ball on this. It was just kind of what it was going to be.
Right.
There's actually another Primarch that fights another Primarch in this book that as far as I know, wasn't advertised at all. And that's actually Vulcan versus Magnus, the Primarch of the Thousand Suns.
Oh, real? Oh, man. Cool. And what a good... Ben is a big Vulcan fan.
Everybody's a big Vulcan fan.
That was a really cool surprise.
It was, and man, it's just. Oof.
Okay, so how'd it go?
Yeah, we'll kind of tell these stories all in one run versus trying to weave into it the way the book does.
Right.
The book covers a fuck ton of ground. So with Vulcan, his whole story is he's at the Imperial Palace and he's there. Kind of Malkador's plan is to send him into the webway after Magnus. Magnus is trying to find his way to the entrance to the palace through the webway so that he can help push the demons and the other things through, and then they'll be able to enter the throne room through this hole.
Okay.
So he's like, Vulcan, I'm going to send you in there and you're going to get Magnus. And not just that, Vulcan wants to do it. The minute he shows up into the throne room, he can feel Magnus is in the webway. And he's just like, I have to go get him. And so we have this really cool kind of storyline of Vulcan walking through the webway. And so it's his thoughts on what's going on. And it's also describing the webway and kind of the views that it sees.
Oh.
And well, okay, so I'm actually jumping ahead. When he first shows up, he gets kind of pulled into a vision of Nocturne. And Magnus is there. And Magnus offers Vulcan a chance to join him. And Magnus looks like Magnus, right? He looks like his brother, but Vulcan has none of it. Not one scrap of it. He's like, you are not my brother. I knew my brother. He was arrogant, but he would never do any of this. And he keeps chiding him and he keeps chiding him and he keeps chiding him. And finally Magnus like loses his shit and yells at him and the facade drops and you get the demon Primarch Magnus with the mother of pearl wings and the one cycloptic eye and the fangs and the cloven hooves and stuff. And then it goes back to regular Magnus and Vulcan snaps out of it, right? And he's like, he's so far gone. Not only did I get him to drop he's talking to Malkador. He goes, not only did I get him to drop his mask, he goes, I don't even think he's aware that he even looks like he does.
Oh, he thinks he still looks normal and is normal. Oh, man.
And we get confirmation of this through a different character later, but not by I'll explain how we kind of get confirmation or at least a precedence to where you're like, okay, if it happened with this person, it could happen with a Primarch.
Right.
So Vulcan is like, okay, he's this far gone and he's doing this much damage. I have to stop him. And then he goes into the webway himself. And Vulcan really kind of chides Magnus for being an idiot, because Magnus always treated Vulcan, I guess, like he was kind of a moron.
Okay. I was going to ask you what their relationship was like before.
Yeah, he's like, and the way it kind of felt to me is that Vulcan understood that Magnus didn't do it on purpose, that Magnus did this with everybody. Magnus always assumed that everybody else was dumber than him.
Right.
And Vulcan never said anything just because they were brothers and he loved him.
And he's like, what's the harm?
Yeah. But now he's like, this is not Nocturne. It's like, yeah, okay, this is, the chemical smells right. He's like, but it doesn't feel right. He's like, the heat, yeah, okay, this volcano is producing heat, but it doesn't feel. He's like, this is clearly a vision created by somebody who knows of my homeworld but has never been there. And the whole time he's like, quit trying to play me. It's like, I'm not falling for any of this. Like, which is why he thinks Magnus doesn't know what he looks like.
Right.
Because
he's fooling himself.
Yeah.
And Vulcan he's always just kind of like, all right, you have whatever opinion of yourself that you want, but like,
now
you're not
it's
fooling me.
Right. So he goes into the webway after Magnus, and you get this really cool, this kind of I keep calling them scenes because we do movies, right? But
right.
it's this kind of chapters of we get pages of Vulcan just kind of thinking to himself and going through the webway, and it describes what the webway looks like, which is really cool.
Oh, I was wondering about that too.
And like he finally ends up finding Magnus. And Magnus is just fucking with him. And every time Vulcan swings his hammer into him, it's just like, I'm not there, I'm over here. Or am I even here at all? I could be sitting anywhere in the world, anywhere in the galaxy and be doing this. Like,
okay.
But the whole time, Vulcan is just mind fucking him, doing the same thing he is. And when he cracks like that again, Vulcan just smacks the shit out of him.
Oh.
And so what that does is cause Magnus to finally lose it. And he kills Vulcan over and over and over, because Vulcan's a perpetual. Vulcan keeps coming back, keeps getting up, keeps picking up his hammer, and keeps coming at him. And so Magnus is like, it just lists all the different ways that Magnus uses his magic to try to end Vulcan. And Vulcan will even note which ones are particularly painful and which ones weren't that bad. But finally, but what's happening is Magnus is using all of his power on Vulcan. He's actually not attacking the Emperor or the Emperor's shields.
Oh, shit.
So Vulcan's
God.
distracting him. And eventually Magnus gets so weak that he just can't put up a fight anymore. And Vulcan just beats the piss out of him. But, Vulcan's like, you'll never achieve your goals. You'll never do you never bring down the Emperor's shields. And Magnus is like, if stopping me from bringing down the Emperor, like, he's a pulped mess, but he's like, if stopping me from bringing down the Emperor's shields is what you wanted, you should have found me an hour ago. Cause it's like time in the webway is not the same. And so,
fuck.
Magnus uses his very last of his magic to go into Vulcan's DNA and obliterate him on a DNA level. Just evaporate like his strands. And then he collapses and gets sent back to the warp. The last we see of Vulcan it's like this form that's slowly rebuilding itself, picks up its hammer and starts walking its way back towards the webway.
Holy shit.
But the shields come down.
Because he was already too late.
Yep. They Watchmened it. That's
fucking cool. That's like, I was already kind of going through a rug pull because it was like, oh, Vulcan's got him. He's okay. He's Doctor Strange in it. He's
it very much felt like Doctor Strange.
It's like all I have to do is fucking be here. And I'm winning. Yeah. I love fights like that too, where it's like the winning isn't contingent on winning
the fight itself.
Yeah. Man. But then fucking Magnus. What a vindicating moment for Magnus too. It's like, oh, you think I'm not smart?
Yeah. They definitely they do give, you have to, because of how dire the situation ends up being. They have to win some fights and they have to win some good ones.
Right.
So
jeez.
We'll go back to Terra. We're on Terra.
And we didn't even know that was coming.
No, that was all extra for me.
Wow.
That whole, and I mean, like, so it, obviously when Magnus is defeated and then the shields collapse, that's towards the end of the book, right?
Right.
So keep that in mind through all of this. But that was a side story that I wasn't expecting. And man, that was more. Vulcan is always good, but Vulcan and there's now a link between Vulcan and Magnus. So with Magnus returned, that could mean that Vulcan returns, right? Anytime you establish a link between Primarchs like that,
it's important. It tends to come back around or mean something in future stories too.
That was the cherry on top for me that I just wasn't expecting, and I was super happy with. And
it's neat seeing what, because it was a bit of a glimpse into like the mind of a demon Primarch in a way that I always kind of think of these sort of things, like, of course, from the outside, where it's like, okay, it's this horrifying thing and it just likes wreaking destruction and stuff like that. But I don't know, just hearing that he doesn't see himself the way that other people are seeing him.
Well, so in the fight, Vulcan actually points this out. He goes, and it's quite a good quote. He goes, "In the long list of failures that our family has wrought, you are at the lowest."
Huh.
And he said, every single one of the others that have turned their back on the Emperor are aware and are deep down somewhat regretful of what is that this has to happen. You, on the other hand, you're the only one out of all of them that is deluded yourself into thinking that you aren't what you are.
He's just lying to himself.
And it goes throughout the dialogue, like Vulcan talks about, like, oh, like, is this everybody's fault? Like, is this Lehman's fault? Like, you know that his orders were changed by Horus, don't you? Yeah, you know that. So is this his fault? He's like, whose fault was it that you fought at all? You could have just laid down your arms like you intended to. Who made that decision? Was that everybody else? Like, the whole time they're fighting,
just
right?
Cracking through the lies, just like, no, man. He's like, you have to. I can't believe you'd see it like that.
Yeah. He's like, boy, you can't see things or I know you see things this way, but it's just not reality.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But it gives you a lot of insight into Vulcan too, because Vulcan, the one thing that he does is refuse to acknowledge this thing as Magnus.
Right. It's like, this isn't you.
No, he's like, I knew my brother and I loved him. Yeah. This thing is not you. Yeah. It's not him. And so it depends on how, you could spin it that it's distancing language, right? He's trying to make it easier for himself. But sure. But knowing what we know about Vulcan's personality and the Primarch that he is, I think he legitimately sees it that way.
Right.
That this kind of like the way Obi-Wan saw Vader, right? This thing killed my brother and is now wearing him like a skin suit.
Yeah. This monster isn't who. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
And he even refers to it as the thing that's inhabiting his brother, right? Like, he's like, this thing that is, am I talking to the real Magnus or am I talking to the thing that slithered its claws around his soul? And at one point, Zeech is actually watching them because Vulcan looks at, this is quite a cool moment. Vulcan goes, "You're so fucking delusional that you don't understand that while you're claiming like you want freedom, you are way more a slave now than you have ever been." And Zeech starts laughing. Oh. But Magnus can't hear it. Vulcan hears it. Oh. He's like, "You don't hear that laughing?" And Magnus is like, "I don't hear any laughing." He's like, "Your God is laughing at you."
Wow. He's just like, yep, he called it out. He is a fool.
Yep.
And he won't even know. Wow. Those are some crazy character moments.
They are. Yeah.
And that is just kind of relatable as fuck. Like, people have been in like conflicts like that where it's like, you really think, people with like,
sure.
Boy,
it's amazing what people will warp themselves into believing.
Right. Yeah.
And it's hard for somebody else. It's hard. Like, if you're on the opposite side of that, it's hard to grasp that is their reality.
Yeah. It to not just look at it like slack-jawed, like just baffled. Like,
right.
Good for Vulcan where he's just like, no, you need to see this.
Yep.
I'm not going to put up with it.
That was a complete side plot that I didn't know was coming. Man, we have so very little interactions between Primarchs that when we get them, man, they're awesome. They're good. They tell you they tell you a lot about the character because you have to really dig in deep to get it because there's not a whole lot out there. We're getting a lot more. This blows Sanguinius' character wide open. Like if there's any doubts of what kind of a Primarch he was, by the end of this book, they're like completely gone.
Yeah.
Because this thing illuminates him in like the best, not the best light. Well, I mean, there's no way to put him in bad light, but
Right,
I mean, there's no shadows anymore. Like this thing completely lays his character bare.
Wow.
Which was awesome.
Okay.
So it was like the way he talks to even Angron is kind of like he still doesn't want to do this.
Oh.
And there's just so it's cool to finally get really hard, good looks at Primarch's personalities.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is always like, well, did it really happen that way? Did they really say it?
Right.
Like
Usually
this?
they're really mythologized or mythologized. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
They're very mythical in their depiction.
Right.
To what the readers end up.
And
being
so
able to
when the
pick
book
up.
goes, now, of course, there's no such thing as retcon in 40K, but there's also not really, it's very rare for something to be definitive.
Right.
But when a book goes out of the way to say accounts of this event say this, they say that, none of these are true. This is what actually happened. And I mean, it literally says this is the actual account. I take that to mean like, nope, this is the hard, like rock solid truth. So
that's a pretty definitive statement.
Unfortunately, we're not going to talk. So that moment is the first time that Sanguinius meets the Revenant, which is the Blood Angels before they become the Blood Angels. And it's the conditions on that and what he said and what they did. We're actually not going to get into that. We're going to skip over that entirely. Just know that it is covered in this, and it is heartwarming.
Oh,
it's really heartwarming. But we're going to save that for Sanguinius's episode because I think that's the proper place for that.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to skip over that.
Okay.
But anyway, going back to the Battle of Terra, it describes it in such monumental like scales that you follow side characters that are literally just in the battle, but the battle's so big that they have like buildings worth of room and it's still happening around them. They talk about different battlefields becoming different wars. Like it's so large that the different battlefields are so distinctly different that they're just basically different wars happening.
Wow. Because it is a planet wide.
Yep.
And I mean, out into orbit and stuff like that too, extending out to the moon.
So well, not anymore.
Okay.
There is no void war whatsoever.
Oh.
It is completely taken over by the traitors. Mars has gone silent. Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, is in orbit, and he keeps saying that he's going to come down soon, but he's just not doing it, which is a lot of the traitors note is kind of odd.
Oh, okay.
And they're wondering, a few of them are kind of starting to wonder if maybe he's just using it as propaganda, that he's actually wanting to just stay in his ship the whole time, which, I mean,
interesting. Because
the way this book kind of plays out, I'd believe it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Out of tactic or cowardice? Or
at some point, it's got to be cowardice.
Okay.
It's got to be cowardice.
Huh. Because, I mean, as far as we know, like, he never does end up leaving the ship.
No, he doesn't.
Right.
But anyway, so the skies above Terra are completely taken over. You have the Vengeful Spirit, which is the Sons of Horus's flagship with Horus on it. So obviously he's got his whole armada there. The other flagship that I know for sure is there is the Conqueror, which is the flagship of Angron, the World Eaters.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if the flagship of the Iron Warriors, Perturabos, Perturabo was there, so the flagship had to be there. Contradictor? Don't quote me on that. I know a lot of the capital ships. I don't know all of them.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But
it's like 18 of them.
Yeah. And the reason why that's important is because you follow a character named Lutara Sarin, who is the captain. She's a human female captain of the Conqueror, the Angron, the Wordbearer's capital ship. And she's a character that I've followed for a while. Her storyline goes it takes this left turn. So like you follow her, she's up there, and it's actually she's been up there for months in orbit, and it's actually gotten boring. All they do is hang in orbit, and then if they get certain coordinates, they fire down on the coordinates, and that's it.
Because they've established their foothold.
Yeah, they're running a skeleton crew, and she's actually walking through the ship through her whole storyline, and like she's getting weaker, and she's they're running out of food, they're running out of water and stuff.
Wow.
And the warp corruption is taking over her ship and is taking over her crew. Some of them are dead, but they're still doing their jobs, stuff like that.
Oh.
And she finally contacts the Vengeful Spirit, and she gets the guy that answers the thing. She's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. We've done this roundabout again and again and again. I outrank you. I want to talk to the War Master. And so he patches through Horus. So Horus makes an appearance just in this call. It's short, but it's good.
Okay.
The way she describes Horus is like he's almost in a fever. Like she's like he's there but not. Like his eyes are wild. Like he's like he's going mad. And then every once in a while she's like the real Horus will like he'll take a breath and like the real Horus will kind of come back while they're having this conversation. Right? But then he'll slowly kind of like just because he's
back out.
Yeah, he's just pulsing with all this like chaos energy that he's basically absorbed. And finally he quotes this poem that's about her because she's this legendary pilot, and she's like, I've always hated that poem. And he's trying to tell her something that we don't get, she doesn't get, but he's trying to tell her something. And he finally says, he's like, you really don't know, do you? And she's like, what? And he's like, you're not Lutara Sarin. And he just logs off and like, so you go through the story where she's trying to like find resources through the ship to get to people, right? And maintain ship order. And she realizes on the bridge that the people when she's talking to them, they won't look at her when they respond. They keep looking at her throne where she would be sitting. And she interprets this as their disrespect that she feels that she's failed them. And so she's kind of going along. And finally, I can't remember what exactly leads to it. She gets a vision of the throne and there's a creature sitting on it, a demon. And it's got like lips full of teeth. I mean, it's just, it's grotesque, right? It's black skinned. But as she's looking at it, she realized it answers a call from Horus. And Horus is talking to it, referring to it as Lutara. And it answers, yes, War Master. And what you find out is that Lutara's human soul is actually, I think they're called remnants.
Okay.
It just repeats over and over. And it thinks it's
just caught in a loop.
Yeah. When the demon is talking to Horus, like he sees that she's there and he basically spells it out to her like, don't you get it? You are what's left of her soul. You are not, this is the real Lutara Sarin. Like you are just an echo and you're going to fade away. You're going to vanish because you're like number 7. You've called me 4 or 5 fucking times. Like there's going to be another one after you that thinks that it's the real Lutara Sarin. Like you're not real. Go away.
Whoa. Holy crap.
And somewhere along the line, basically the chaos corruption had just completely taken her over and she didn't remember.
And she had no idea. And now she's so that's what it's like to be demon possessed?
So no, I guess it depends. So it seems like there's the demon there's like the chosen of the god, which is kind of like the Galvorback, right? Theirs is much more of a symbiosis.
Right. They're communicating.
Yeah, this is like if the chaos corruption takes you over.
Okay.
Part of the crew, part of the ship sort of deal.
Right. Okay. It's basically, it's using everything in you that it needs and discarding the rest.
Right.
And you're just an echo that keeps bouncing back until it fades away. That is horrifying.
It was one of the most 40K endings of a character. And I had followed this character through 3 books now.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shit, this is how she, because like if you look up like her bio before this, it's like her ending is unknown. It's like, holy shit.
Wow. Worse than death, probably.
I would consider that to be worse than death. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. So this was somebody, you had established a relationship with this character by this point.
So,
and
yeah, she's a character. So I play a cell phone game. It's the only cell phone game that I play. It's the Horus Heresy card game. And she's one of the warlords you can play as.
Oh, cool.
She's one of them. She's like a main like boss. And so, yeah, she went out. Ooh, she went out way bad.
Holy cow. Oh, fucking Warhammer. Every now and again, I still get those moments, man, where it's just like, good God.
Yeah.
Warhammer. Just when you think you're used to everything, like that to me just blows my mind. Like establishing a character. Like that'd be like the example I'm about to bring from Star Wars. It's a trap, Admiral Akbar. That'd be like, yeah, that's, I don't know. I know. Oh, I shouldn't bring this sort of stuff up. But
yeah, you could just suck him out a window off screen.
I know. But
like some dick bags.
Definitive. I love just decisive writing, man.
Well,
like,
I mean, so the good thing about the reason why that ending I don't think is insulting versus like Admiral Akbar is her death wasn't off screen and it wasn't quick.
Right.
And listen, nobody in 40K gets like a beautiful ending, right? So
yeah, don't expect happy
endings. So like if you pick a favorite character, like it's going to end bad for them eventually.
Right. Like it makes me wonder about a character that was in the Night Lord's book that you had me read where he had a face off with. But I wonder if that was the end of somebody's story. Do you know the character I'm talking about?
Was it in the Conrad Kurz?
Yes.
I don't know if he was an Inquisitor or an assassin.
And they never really stated much.
I think he was. I'm not sure. So I would be interested. If anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah. And
I wonder Conrad Kurz, on his ship, he fights an Inquisitor or an assassin. I actually think he might be an assassin because they keep referring to his bodysuit.
Right. Okay.
But let us know if that was an established character or just a character dusted off for Conrad. Because
I just love that idea of like, you get the end of some characters in stories completely outside of,
Oh, yeah. There's a character that dies in this that's not even really a character that apparently people loved, was established. It's a cybernetic monkey.
Aw, a cybernetic monkey?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay.
What?
So we'll touch on, we'll follow another character.
Back in time we go.
Land.
Arkan.
There it is. Arkan Land. So Arkan Land is a pretty famous
techno-archaeologist?
Yes.
Oh.
He goes out and discovers lost technology for the Mechanicum.
What a cool job that you could only have in Warhammer. Cool. Okay. Digging into like the golden age of technology and stuff like that.
And so you follow him and he is partnered up with a blood angel by the name of, there it is, Zephan. So Zephan is a character. This is a continuation of his story. In the last book that they were in, which I have not read, but I just kind of found out a little bit of what there was. Zephan was killed, or they thought he was killed.
Right.
But Arkan Land managed to save his life, and Zephan got sent to Terra because he was delimbed. Like all of his limbs had to be replaced, and so that did make him very combat effective.
Right.
And so he was given like an ambassador's role basically. And he felt like this was like being put to pasture, right? Like he felt like he was abandoned. He was left. Sidelined. And so he was depressed and everything. But now war's to Terra and he's found new life. Zephan has this cybernetic monkey.
Uh-huh.
And apparently this is a character that a lot of people like.
I mean, who wouldn't love a cybernetic monkey?
So Zephan Land or Arkan Land gets like lost out in the war and he gets injured and he sends his monkey to go get help.
Uh-huh.
The monkey goes finds some Mechanicum, finds some Mechanicum troops and brings them back to rescue Arkan just in time for like some world leaders to attack.
Oh.
And it's kind of funny because Zephan is on the wall before this happens. Zephan and Arkan Land and Zephan's like servants that tend to his armor, tend to his weapons and everything are on the wall getting ready to fight. They're on the wall, like they're all gonna fight, right? Because like the shield has fallen, the traitors are coming, and they're all on the wall. And Zephan looks at Land and says, "Your job is to look out for my servants." He doesn't call them servants. He's actually like he cares for them,
right?
And he actually realizes kind of right before all this goes down that he hasn't been very nice to them and hasn't been paying attention to them in a long time because he's been depressed,
right?
And he apologized to them. He's like, I didn't realize that like it's two parents and their son, and he realizes it when the son comes to hand him his weapon, and he's like, "Wait, this is your mother's job," and he's like, "Well, it was," and he looks over and he realizes how old they've gotten, and he didn't notice.
Oh my
God, never noticed before.
Whoa!
And so he's like, "I'm sorry." Like, I've not been good for you. I've not been good to you guys. And so they're on the wall getting ready to fight. And he looks at Land and he's like, your job is to protect these people. And if I find out that they die or are injured because you express some of your famous cowardice. Oh no, Land is both an asshole and a coward. But this is I'm betting this is his arc of where he becomes not a coward.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Gives him a character arc.
Yeah. So he's like, if you abandon these people, I'm going to find you. I'm going to fucking kill you. And they're friends. He's just like this, but like, no.
Wow. Sorry I neglected you your whole lives.
Yeah, basically.
I need to make up for that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do it for me.
Yeah, he's like, because I won't be, I can't watch them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's crazy.
They're there with Arkin, and the monkey gets help, and they're attacked by World Eaters, and it goes into the World Eater's point of view.
Okay.
And he kills the mom, the dad, and the monkey. And it's just like, because it's from his point of view, it's like, I ripped the head off of one, I cracked the back of the old woman, and then he popped the head of the monkey. He's like, I don't even know why there was a monkey. And just moves on, right?
Oh, man.
He's like, hateful little thing.
Oh, why was that there?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh. It flips to that Space Marine's point of view, so that there's no, like, it's not deep tragic, like, oh my God, they're being butchered. He's just like, nah, get out of the way, P-Brains.
Oh man.
It was
an interesting tonal shift.
Now the son survives.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, I haven't spent much time with these characters. I didn't read the book before, but I can only imagine what that was like for people that had followed those characters.
I wonder if that would piss them off, or if it was kind of like in the spirit of like why people loved this monkey. They were just like, I don't know. Sometimes
I don't know, but I know one of the guys that I watch, his name is Valrak, man. He's like, they killed the monkey. They killed the damn monkey. He's like, I can't believe they killed the monkey. It's like, yeah, they did. They popped its head like a zit.
God, that is so cool.
It was, oh my God.
Such a cool fucking story.
And so they get into like, they're all falling back into the gate, right? Like, it's like the gates are closing, the shield's coming down. You get this really cool story of, I'm not going to remember their names. I'm not even going to try. This book does, I was telling Eric about this earlier. This book does this really cool thing when the shield comes down, Rogol has the entire fortress like hold its fire. And it's like basically one of those don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes sort of deals.
Right.
And then right as they fire, it switches to the traitor's point of view.
Oh. Huh.
And just, it's like, here's this character, dead. Here's this character, dead. Here's this character, dead. Here's this in there. And like, it goes into real in-depth, like, up until this point, they had fought in this battle, they had won this many, and it's just like obliterated. Because, like, the amount of firepower that the Loyalists unleash, it's just, like, blowing people out of the sky. Like, it's dropping Titans like they're nothing. Like, I mean, it's just burning holes through them, but they just have so many.
Right. Wow. What an interesting choice to, like, shift the perspective for, like, the end of these characters.
Yeah.
Too. That's crazy. I wonder why... I wonder what went into making a choice like that, because they could have like put it in their perspective, like this is our heroic moment, but it's almost like they're letting the audience, I guess, have their own sort of reaction to it, or just insight into chaos. When it switches perspective on the wall thing, you go to the traitors that are being obliterated by this firepower. Yeah. So it helps glorify him. Yeah, the bad guys. Death. Yeah. And then for when good guys die, it switches to the bad guy's point of view, that's just interesting. Cool. You get to kind of witness their or it goes into this really cool third person explanation of how they die. Okay. So like probably my favorite side story that didn't involve Primarchs is of just these two characters. I was talking about them and then I got off on the sidetrack. I'm going to try to learn their names. One is just a regular rifleman and the other one is a female Skitarii. Mm-hmm. And they are the last two survivors of their regiments, and they've been tasked with holding this position, and they're doing it together. And they've lasted for, I think it says, like a week together. Okay. The problem is that the Skitarii's rifle is radioactive, and it's killing the human. I mean,
Skitarii are technically human, but Jesus.
Right. She can take the radiation.
Yep. And so he's dying either way, and she knows she's not going to last. And it goes into like their banter back and forth where he's always trying to be funny. Or she's like, or maybe because it's from her point of view. And she's like, or maybe he is funny and I just don't get it. She's like, I've never really thought about it before.
Aw.
And so they set up one final ambush because there's like the Emperor's children are there. And so they're getting ready to ambush them. And they pretty much both know that this is the end.
This is it.
And he's like, he calls her T. I don't know what her full name is because it's like a T1195, -1. So he calls her T for short. It just dawned on me. And he looks at her and goes, T, before we do this, I have one final question. And she can't talk. She has to like draw it all out on a data board.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he goes, underneath all of that, are you pretty? And it like stuns her. She's like, she never even contemplated being asked that before.
Right.
And it goes over what she looks like under all the machine stuff, right? She's like, she has no eyelids, she has no nose, she has no lips, she has no teeth, she has no ears, she has no arms, no legs.
Wow.
Like her breasts have been removed, like her internal organs have been removed and stuff. It's all been augmented, all to hell and gone, right? So she's like this grotesque parody of humankind, but she still has kind of like a female form with the machine. She looks at him and nods. And he just kind of laughs and goes, yeah, I thought so. And then they both launch out. She dies first, and then it switches to like third person, and it's like this. It's like his name roared his oath of trying to avenge that he would avenge her. Of course, he failed. What is one human against 8 transhumans? He was still alive when they impaled him on the flagpole, but luckily he was dead before the Emperor's children placed him on an open fire, roasted him, and ate him for their morning meal.
Fuck. Oh my God.
I was like, damn it. God damn it. It's Bob all over again.
I know. Oh, Bob. Poor Bob.
Bailey finally, she was pissed. Bailey was so mad at that episode of Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things season 3. Yeah. Bob dies. And those motherfuckers are mean about it.
They are. Man. They didn't have to do that last shot.
Right. I didn't talk to Bailey about it, but I would suspect future Bailey will be able to say whether that's true or not. But that scene of them just eating him is like, when I saw that, I thought that was so unnecessary.
Yeah, it's offensive.
It is. Bob really never did anything to anybody.
I know. It was just.
But boy, but when that happened, I was like, that's what that felt like. I was like, whoa, gee whiz. Like, I was fine. I was like, okay, they got him when they said like he tried to avenge her death. Of course he failed. And it's like, okay, fine. Yeah. And then they're like, and he was still alive when they stuck him on the pole. I was like, Like, and then they ate him. I was like, Jesus.
Poor guy. These poor humans. Poor humans in the Imperium. God.
Yeah.
They're just, it's humanity really standing up to things that they are completely useless against.
Yeah. Well, so
I shouldn't say it like that. Not useless, but way above
ineffective.
them. Yeah.
It's the notion of fighting anyway, I guess.
Yeah. So, and they're really driving that home too, because it's like, this isn't just death we're talking about. That the sacrifice that they're making is like, they could be tormented, possibly forever even, I imagine.
Right.
There's chaos we're dealing with.
Oh no. So that is the eventual ending. That is where your soul goes when it dies.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Yes.
So no matter what,
what,
your ending is the warp.
So grim and so dark.
Yeah. There's no good ending. Except for faith in the Emperor, because he is a god in the warp, and you could wind up in his realm, and that's a shit ton better than theirs. So yeah, glory to the Emperor.
Can't remember what they call that gambit, but I like it.
Whatever.
So, and what was this guy's name so that I can hold him in my heart? Do we know?
Silas Inverek, Sergeant of the 12th Halion Rifles.
Poor guy. Poor Silas.
And this is Skitaris of the TR1. Yeah.
Aw,
T for short.
Absolutely tragic. Goddamn 40K. Shall we go back in time again?
Yes, we shall. And with this, we're going to follow two characters. Their names are Nasir Amit and Kargos. Nasir Amit is known as the Flesh Terror. Kargos is known as Kargos the Blood Spitter.
So I take it we are through Chaos's perspective at the moment.
No, Nasir Amit the Flesh Terror is a loyalist. He's a blood angel, baby.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. The good guys are gruesome too.
Yep. He actually ends up getting a chapter named after him, the Flesh Terrors. And Nasir Amit and Kargos are what's known as chain brothers, which meant that on their off time, when they practiced in the sparring cages, they would practice together, chained together against other people.
Okay.
And Kargos is a character that this is not his introduction. He was in the first Heretic with Karn, the Betrayer, and he was also in the one where Angron turns into a demon Primarch. Kargos was in that along with Karn. And then Kargos was also in Warhawk. So he's a well-established character.
Okay.
Nasir Amit is I don't know how many books he appears in. He's been in quite a bit too. He was in Where Angels Fear to Tread, which is where Sanguinius meets Kabanda. He was in that, and I'm sure he's popped up in others. So these are two really well-established characters. And we pick up with Kargos. Kargos is losing it to the butcher's nails. He hears somebody yell apothecary, and he's like, apothecary, that's a word that means a thing. He is an apothecary. He's a World Eater's apothecary.
Oh, okay. Oh, no.
And finally they get through to him, and he realizes that he's been neglecting collecting the genetic material of the Space Marines around him, the Black Carapace. So he starts doing that when he finds Karn. Now, Karn has actually been killed. I don't know how in the hell this is going to end up closing. I'm guessing his storyline's going to carry on into another book because Karn is in 40K. He's basically the leader of the World Eaters when Angron's not doing shit.
Okay.
But he was killed by Sigismund, who is known as the Black Sword. Sigismund is an Imperial Fist who, in Warhawk, was disowned by Rogel Dorn because he ended up becoming part of the Imperial faith, right? He started worshiping the Emperor as a god, and so Rogel disowned him.
Yeah.
But things got so bad, and Sigismund is the best swordsman in the Astartes. It got so bad that Rogel gave him a black obsidian sword and was like, I want you to go out amongst the War of Terra and just kill enemy champions. And so his whole storyline in that book is just going throughout the battlefield, avoiding fights until he finds somebody of name and then just butchering them.
Wow.
Him and Karn were chain brothers. And so in Warhawk, they fought and Sigismund ends up killing him. And then it's funny because when Kargos finds Karn, Karn lives just long enough to tell him that it was Sigismund that killed him. And Kargos is like, killed by your own chain brother. He's like, that's tragic.
Yeah. Wow.
And it goes over like his and Nasir Amit's career as chain brothers. And they had actually been challenged to what's called combat extremists, I believe is what it's the term. I could be getting that wrong.
Sounds high gothic.
But basically it's to the death in the sparring cages. And it was because of Kargos. Kargos killed a guy by accident in the cages. And so he was challenged by the guy's brothers.
Okay.
And so they challenged him to a chain match, which means Nasir now has to fight it as well.
Okay. And it's just to the death for both of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they take you through the scene where they fight together and kill together, and they're brothers. And, you know, it talks about how you can lie to anybody except for the Emperor, your Primarch, and your chain brother, like things like this.
Right. I mean, you're facing death at that point when you're just chained together.
So,
you have to really know the other person.
So Kargos is going throughout the war, and I'm not going to tell everything because, you know, you don't want to give away all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually him and Nasir Amit meet, and they're fighting. And they describe it really well as Kargos is fighting with like this hot fury. He's raging at Nasir for, like, in Kargos's eyes, betraying him. He's like, I was your brother. You were supposed to stand by me no matter what. And he's like hurling all this stuff at him. Meanwhile, Nasir Amit's fighting with like this cold kind of calculated rage and he's not saying shit. He's not saying anything. He's not saying nothing.
Yeah.
And I knew when this fight ended that the line that he finally lets out was going to be quoted by a lot of people. It's just one of those ones that as soon as you hear, you're like, oh, yep, that's going to catch fire. He catches Kargos in the throat and slits his throat with his sword and like kicks him off his blade. And as he falls to the ground, Nasirama just looks at him and goes, eat shit, traitor. And just walks away.
Wow.
And just the delivery of eat shit, traitor was, it was just like, oh, Jesus.
Just after just going through the whole fight with nothing to say to that guy.
Nothing to say at all.
He was already dead to him.
Yep.
It's like, you just don't know it yet.
And so you follow Nasir for a while and he's talking to somebody. He's like, I found Kargos out there. And they're like, what happened? He's like, I fought him. And he's like, is he dead? And Nasir's like, no. And it turns out that Kargos is still alive.
Whoa. Huh.
He thinking back on it, he's like, that wasn't a killing blow. It's like, I left him alive. Shit.
Oh, wow. He's like, damn it. I know him.
Yep.
He can recover from that.
Yep.
Interesting.
And so they end up fighting again. And this time, Nasir removes his head. And he's just like, I said, eat shit, traitor. And then removes his head. Just doubles down
just
on it.
Making sure.
He's like, I said what I said. Like, this is supposed to be over.
That was the final word. I'm making sure of it this time. Wow. And now it's probably going to become like one of those iconic lines out of
I'm
Warhammer.
sure eat shit traitor is going to be left and is going to be cropping up in quite a few areas of the 40K internet.
So dismiss. Yeah. And it just like embodies, like, I figured the spirit of the loyalists. Like, you bastards.
There
we were brothers.
Oh yeah, no, the traitors are very like desperate. Like, we are right.
This
we are
has
right.
to be done.
And the traitors are like, fuck all of, or the loyalists are like, fuck all of you guys.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if you're willing to stoop that far, then you don't belong here anymore.
Yeah.
Crazy. Holy shit. Okay.
The loyalists actually come off very vicious in this.
Do they? Yeah. Which I get. Like, to me, it's like, you've been betrayed by people that it was us against the galaxy, man. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. And every single character in this book from the get-go that's a loyalist, by the time you meet them, they understand that they've lost.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. Like, on Holy Terra, they have
in the palace
soiled. Yeah, they have soiled everything sacred to them up to this point, like beyond what they could have fathomed beforehand. It's like no one could cross this line.
Right.
Nobody had.
Not that we're aware of.
Yeah.
There are 2 unaccounted for legions.
Fair enough.
That met the teeth of the Fenrica.
Yeah. But boy, that makes sense. Like, that attitude towards it, like, it's no wonder it's remembered as the heresy.
Yeah.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah, they really.
I get it. I would hate them too.
Oh yeah, this really does drive home, like, the reason why this fight, even having only been 7 years, is so pivotal in this lore.
Right.
It really is the moment to which, like, the whole thing shattered.
Yeah, this is peak, just absolute blasphemy, hate. Things have escalated beyond the point of no return.
Yep.
This is amazing. What an amazing cool.
Oh yeah.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to be somebody who has been like following this for.
Oh, I know. I'm almost jealous of the people that have spent years into this, just
steep in it.
Yeah. It was so satisfying to me. I can't imagine what it was like for, like, I'm a Blood Angels fan, but I've been a fan for like 3-4 years now. I can't imagine being a Sanguinius fan from like the 90s or the late 80s. And then to read this would just be fucking. I'm sure it's got to be great.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I hope so. I hope it is everything that they wanted from their Primarch, our Primarch.
Yes.
Like, because it was for me. I mean, if it wasn't, I guess I'd ask you what more do you want?
Yeah.
And if it's valid, let's try to find a way to get it in there, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man,
boy, I hope it's as satisfying.
So
as I imagine
with that, that's a good time. We'll jump to the Primarch kind of timeline with Sanguinius.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes moment. Sanguinius is there, and he gives this speech. It is very much any given Sunday speech, like, there are the enemy, they should fear us. But he gives this offer, and he's like, if anybody wants to leave, if you want to go to where the refugees are, where your families are, if you would prefer to die there with your rifle in hand, fight, defending that, or if you'd rather just take your luck out in the waste and you think you can, he's like, if you want to leave now with honor, dignity, you have my respect, you have fought harder than I could have ever asked you to. If you leave now, you are square in my eyes. Yeah, he's like basically like, I absolve you of this responsibility. Do with your will what you will.
You're already being asked for too much.
Yep. He's like, we won't win this.
Yeah.
He's like, so he like basically releases everybody from their duty, right?
Wow.
It's pretty cool. Of course, nobody moves, right? How could you?
Right. Oh, what a moment. God. That's why shit like this needs to be so bleak, because like the impact of that just would not be the same.
It isn't. No, it makes the stars burn all the brighter.
Yeah.
And speaking of stars, the whole time this is going on, the whole time the whole book is going on, everybody's talking about this giant burning red star that is just circling the entire globe.
Uh-oh.
And that's Angron.
Huh.
He couldn't get in, but once the walls came down, instead of storming the palace, he's actually looking for Sanguinius. And so they just see this red comet fly by, and he's screaming Sanguinius' name, looking for him, because Horus is in his head, telling him, this is your job, this is your responsibility. You have to kill Sanguinius. This is all you're meant to do. This is what your whole destiny is too. Which to me smells a little bit of desperation.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, if it's so pivotal that he dies, why don't you come your ass down here and do it?
Yeah, if it's so important. Holy shit. But so he's manipulated him to this point.
Yeah, because all Angron's beyond thought, basically. His thoughts come down to white wings, brother, I must kill brother.
Okay. Quite animalistic now.
Yeah.
He's basically an attack dog or a weapon at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus.
So Sanguinius is just fighting, and they're falling back because the waves of the traitor hordes are just washing over them. They have the Titan legions, the chaos cults that are just the demons that are cropping up out of blood. And so they're falling back, and they get to the Eternity Gate, and it's basically the last wall inside of the palace to the throne room, and they're closing it when it gets harpooned by Titans that are trying to hold the gates open.
Oh,
and that's when Kabanda shows up.
Oh, fuck.
So he starts tearing ass towards the Eternity Gate. Sanguinius leaps into fighting him. You actually get a little bit of what's been up with Kabanda since he got beat by Sanguinius the first time.
Okay.
He got deranked and fled into the warp, hiding from the other entities, and was slowly killing them and absorbing killing them and eating them, absorbing their power to build himself back up, because Khorne was just flicked him and just completely demoted his ass. So he finally builds up his power, and he storms into Khorne's presence in front of all these demons, back to his full power. And he's like, I demand that you give me a second chance to fight Sanguinius. And Khorne's like, all right, if you want to be reinstated as a general in my eyes, you must go there and you must kill 500 blood angels. And Kabanda's like, well, that's easy enough. He's like, in front of Sanguinius.
Oh, shit.
So you wind up with this really fight where Kabanda is trying to avoid Sanguinius while trying to kill blood angels, while Sanguinius is fighting Kabanda, and Kabanda's trying to fight him off.
Whoa. It's I can't kill Sanguinius until I hit my quota. Jesus. Ugh. Chaos gods are so fickle.
Yep. So he beats Kabanda. Kabanda gets cast back into the warp, and he
doesn't get his promotion.
No, he doesn't. But it's within the next page. Wham! Angron finds him and lands. And so, having just fought Kabanda, he now has to fight Demon Primarch Angron.
Shit.
Yeah.
So, and how fucked up was he from the Kabanda fight?
He wasn't he was tired.
Yeah.
And he was cut.
He'd already started.
Yeah, he's still a bloodthirster, of course.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not where they left you, is it?
Oh God, no.
Okay, good.
So the fight with oh hell no, people would riot.
Say, wait a minute.
Oh no, you do. They take the entire. You get. There's no false advertisement here. I believe the entire fight is a half hour long.
Okay.
Wow. They give you. So like, I'm not going into the nitty gritty.
Oh, you mean in the audiobook?
In the audiobook, it's
shit. Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a half hour length worth of audiobook. The fight between Sanguinius and Angron by himself. They give you the full fight, and like it's crazy shit. Sanguinius is much faster than Angron, although Angron is stronger. But Angron's just so bestial. He's not really like
no tactics.
Not a whole lot.
Okay. Just kind of killer instinct.
Yeah, Sanguinius is fighting with his sword, the Blade and Carmine, and his spear, the Telesto spear. And he drops the spear and takes off into the air. So Angron picks up his spear and launches it at Sanguinius because Sanguinius decides to dive bomb at him. And not only does he miss, but Sanguinius manages. So they describe Angron as having thrown this spear so hard that it creates a sonic boom and like blows people away from him.
Oh, fuck. That's cool. God damn. Okay, cool. I just immediately got the visual in my head.
Right. It's like right at the moment it gets like right here. It's just like,
yes.
Yep.
Cool.
And so Sanguinius actually starts spinning and catches it and then uses the momentum to hurl it back at Angron.
Jesus.
And so Angron's like, all right, he did this. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it and impale him on it. And before he even finishes, he realizes he's impaled.
It was too fast.
Yep. Because it was that force times whatever Sanguinius had put
added
on it.
to it. Could have practically doubled it.
Yeah.
Whoa. I love that.
And so Sanguinius is just dive bombing at him and Angron impales Sanguinius with his sword. Like it's the size of a tank and like through the guts all the way to the hilt. And and a split second too late, Angron realizes that was actually Sanguinius's plan, and Sanguinius both hands grabs the butcher's nails in his skull, the cybernetic implants, and like he's getting ready. So the way they describe them by now is that they have gone throughout his brain and have wrapped all the way down his spinal cord.
Okay.
So that's where they're rooted to. And Sanguinius just grabs like a handful of butcher's nails. And Angron begs. I mean, he only says no, but it's like a plea. Like, don't do it.
That's all I can say. Oh my God.
And of course, he just pops his head, kills him.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love the sacrificial move. Like when you just like, nope, I'll take the hit because that's part of the plan. I love the idea of like a Primarch just like meep.
Yeah. I mean, he basically grabbed him by the balls.
Yeah. And then ripped him off.
Yeah.
So wait, he's not dead though, is he? Okay,
he's a demon.
That's right. So back to the warp with you. But does he still have the?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just
still has the butcher's nails.
Yeah, you're still wrong. Yeah. Oh yeah. Corn's not. That's one thing Corn likes about him.
Oh, okay. I'll just put these back.
Yep.
God.
And that's basically where it leaves you.
Wow.
You have.
Oh, what a moment.
Yeah, you have Sanguinius, and he's getting ready to teleport onto the Vengeful Spirit and fight Horus. And he fought Cabanda, has been tore up. He's been impaled by Angron's sword.
So this really does become quite just back to back with Sanguinius. And now, yeah, sword the size of a tank. And he's not a big Primarch.
No, he's not. No, he's not like Vulcan size or even Magnus's size. He's relatively average for them. Now, a stab through the guts is not like super serious, but I mean, this stuff adds up.
Right.
Like they're talking about his wings have spots in them where they're just blood and skin. There's no feathers. Like,
wow. Yeah. Like he's got extra organs, but only so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it leaves us.
That's incredible. Wow. So I am going to.
Yeah.
It's like, where do you even start? But I need to. Yeah. I need to read this book. This sounds amazing. I need to read some lead up into this book too. Where would you start? Yeah, where would you? Yeah,
I guess it depends on which character you're more interested in following.
Right.
I will tell you the path that I took to get here.
There we go. Yeah. That's a good.
I did Fear to Tread, which is the first time Sanguinius fights Caban. It's also the first time that any major Astartes force fights a demonic presence.
Oh, okay.
So I did Fear to Tread. And then after that, I went to the first Heretic, which is the Fall of the Word Bearers.
Okay.
So first Heretic would come first.
Right.
But that's not the direction I went.
Right.
But first Heretic, and then from first Heretic to Betrayer. Betrayer is the one where Angron gets turned into the Demon Prince. So that's a whole lot of Angron and Logar. That's the book where Angron holds up the foot of the Titan to keep Logar from getting crushed.
Sweet. Yes.
So yeah, I would. So,
are there any that you wish you would have read before you got into this one?
Honestly, not really. Maybe whatever book had Archenland and Zephan in it.
Okay.
Maybe that one would have been good.
Yeah.
But these books, Fear to Tread, First Heretic, Betrayer, and Warhawk, I feel really kind of get you there.
Yeah.
If you know, I mean, obviously I know a lot of the general gist of it.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend doing this cold. You would be able to do it just fine.
Right. With kind of what
what you know,
the foundation
and you know
I have so far.
Yeah.
Put a couple of years in now.
Yes. So those were that's the path I took.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like there's such a.
I honestly think if I were going to do a definitive of those, I would do First Heretic, Betrayer, Fear to Tread, Warhawk, and then Echoes of Eternity. That would be the order that I would do those in.
Good. Okay. Good deal.
If those are but with those books, so to clarify, with those books, what you'll get is the Blood Angels perspective, you'll get the World Eaters perspective, you'll get the Word Bearers perspective.
Uh-huh.
And then with Warhawk, you'll get Rogel Dorn, Jagatai Khan caught up, and Mortarion.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to, you could do the Buried Dagger. If you want some more Mortarion for... Actually, yeah, I would do the Buried Dagger as well before Warhawk to get you that Mortarion.
Right. Yeah, because that's all right before the him versus Jagatai Khan thing.
Well, so apparently they've fought on what's left of Prospero before.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I do like that there's some repeat matchups going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But no, thank you for doing that, because that's something I did just a little bit of reading on, more like in the meta of the books, like what's going on with like marketing and publication and stuff and critics and stuff. And they always seem to rank really high. But one of the things, if there is anything that you hear from a critic, it seems to be like accessibility to other readers. It's like, because
you have to follow up.
It's just there's so damn many books. But to me, I don't really think that's
so it's 150 novels from what I understand.
Right.
The Horus Heresy by itself.
Right.
So what I would do, I would get general knowledge about all of the players.
Right.
And then I would pick the ones you're interested in and find where their journey starts and just carry on through that.
Follow their threads. Because as we're seeing with these books, like a lot of them are threads.
They are.
Like that may have come from somewhere else and woven through.
And what I find is that a lot of like the conclusions or stuff is a side story in a different book, which then launches you into a whole different adventure. And I've gotten to the point now where I really cannot wait to dive into them. I'm actually having trouble with my credit situation on Audible.
Keep running out of credits.
I do. Yeah. They're like $30 for 3 of them, and 3 of them's just not lasting me very long.
Right.
So
because you are just on a tear through these.
Yeah, I'm burning through them as quick as I can. And I'm so into this. I love them. I have avoided a few that people have got the fucking hiccups. Ones that people have said are a little bad. I'm pushing them off. Especially Horus. I'm not real interested in Horus, even though I understand that he's got some good stuff. I'm trying to debate what direction I'm going into next.
Right.
I did finish the Dark Imperium. The first book of the Dark Imperium,
right,
which is current lore, Rabute versus Mortarion. Calgar is still a whiny bitch, man. For a guy that is
so renowned.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But we're Echoes of Eternity was phenomenal. It was great. Does it take the top of which is the Flight of the Eisenstein for me? Yeah, I think it does. I think this is probably going to be my favorite one that I've read thus far because there's stuff there's storylines where you follow precepts and Titans, and so you get a lot more in depth with Titans and other people. Like there's a lot of they give you a lot of ground.
That's one thing as we've talked about it that I've kind of noticed, like walking through the webway and stuff. Like it's putting you in these places that, like for me, are still kind of legendary. Like we've talked about Titans, but I don't know what it's like inside of a Titan.
Exactly.
Or the webway. Or like, honestly, in the middle of a fucking battle in a Warhammer battle.
Right, like how that actually feels because they're so beyond our scope and scale that it's hard to grasp at points.
Yeah. Or like inside into the minds of like chaos and stuff like that. And what happens to you. No, it's doing a lot.
It is.
Even outside of just developing these characters and paying off a lot of shit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I would definitely recommend it. It's written by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, who is a guy that he's all over the place as far as 40K. Like the dude is one of the go-to writers. I really like his stuff. As an Audible listener, I will say that thank God it was narrated by Jonathan Keeble.
Yeah.
He's one of the better narrators.
Okay.
There's this son of a bitch that keeps narrating the Blood Angels. I'm going to look his name up because I'm actually going to... Gareth Armstrong. Man, that motherfucker. He narrates most of Blood Angel stuff, and his Blood Angel voice is terrible. The dude's like all high-pitched, and I think he's trying to make them sound aristocratic, but it doesn't sound right when the line is, yes, I can understand that. The unnecessarily deeply voiced boom of the Astartes voice. Like, it talks about how, like, ungodly deep their voice is and how unnerving it is to people, but he's reading it in this really high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want the Bloodies to sound like that, dude. Thank you.
It's, like, not even matching the in-book description.
It isn't. It isn't.
Yeah, that's a little...
So I mean, he narrated Fear to Tread, so that one was a little rough for me to get through just because I don't like his voice, but Fear to Tread was a really good book.
Yeah, it's still worth the read, huh?
It definitely was. Yeah. But Jonathan Keeble narrated this one, and Jonathan Keeble's really good.
Yeah.
He's one that I look forward to. I know his performance is at least going to be good.
Nice.
And Bowden, at least when it comes to the Horus Heresy, he seems to be kind of the go-to guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Has he pretty much written all the Horus Heresy
I don't think
books?
He's written all of them.
Or, well, yeah, I guess that's
But he did the first Heretic.
Yep.
He did Prince of Crows, which was the Sevatar book.
Yeah, 14 of the Horus Heresy books he's done.
Yeah.
That's a hefty chunk. I mean, there's obviously other books set in Warhammer that he's done.
Oh, no wonder. And he also did the Night Lords trilogy, which I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely a Bowden fan. I like him.
Go Bowden.
I like Guy Haley. I like his stuff. I like his writing for the most part. He did Conrad.
Who is like one of your favorites.
So Conrad also did, or Jonathan Keeble also narrated Conrad Curse.
Okay.
So that's Jonathan Keeble.
That sounds about right because he had a bit of a disjointed, was he? Oh, I've got my narrators mixed up now. Was he the one who was a little disjointed in the way that he did the voices?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was my impression.
He also did Lehman Russ. He also narrated the Lehman Russ book. Oh, so yeah, such a good book. He did Flight of the Eisenstein as well. He narrated Flight of the Eisenstein.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. That's James Swallow. If the rest of his stuff is as good as Flight of the Eisenstein, then his stuff is really good. Flight of the Eisenstein was awesome.
Nice.
But we've blown the books long enough, I think.
Okay. This
Audible, we're still waiting for that sponsorship.
Yeah,
I have spent a lot of look at my badges, you bastards. I spent a lot of time on your fucking website. Those useless badges. I still like getting them though.
Give me more badges.
Every time it's like, you got a new badge. Great. I'm like, does it do anything? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Sons of bitches.
Yeah. We'll have to do more book reviews as we go. This will be good. This will be fun. I love this. And this was a good one. This was a time, I imagine there was a lot of anticipation leading up to this. I haven't really paid much attention to like the book
I am shameful in that I don't interact with communities very much at
right,
all.
And neither do I. No, neither do I.
I don't have a social media at all. I mean, you might be able to find me, but you'll notice that it's probably been inactive for like 4 years. So like Reddit, all that stuff, man. I know that I need to. I'm just not probably gonna.
Yeah, we'll work it. We'll see if we maybe start getting some comments. We'll work our way up
if
from
we
there.
get comments on YouTube, I'll reach out. I'll start reaching out. Like I hate the internet, and yet here I am.
Got to do what you got to do.
But anyway, guys, definitely check out Echoes of Eternity. It's a must read. If you have basic knowledge of the Primarchs, I don't think you need to really read anything else to go into it. The ones that I mentioned that we've shown pictures of, I'm sure, will definitely help, but I don't think it's necessary. This is one that's probably gonna have people talking. If you have like a group of 40K fans, they're probably already talking about it. If not, it will be soon, I'm sure. Yep. If you haven't seen Eat Shit Trader in one of your videos or in the comments section, you're not looking hard enough, or you just don't watch 40K videos. So this was I was thoroughly pleased with it. It didn't I wasn't missing anything, and it provided several stories that I didn't know I wanted. Yeah, which is always good.
Awesome.
It's 15 hours long, which for a 40K book is pretty hefty.
That is,
which
long.
I appreciated. I like the sizable investment.
Yeah. They understand what they're doing. Yeah, they understand the weight of what they're bringing to the table.
And I think they used their they crammed as many. If there's any critique that I can level at it, you might be expecting more Sanguinius than you actually get.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They go for quality over quantity, certainly.
Right, which is fair.
I think that's more than fair, but I think they kind of tend to do that with the Primarchs in general.
Right. It just makes sense. You have to be really careful about what you reveal about them and when and stuff like that. And pace it out.
They reveal plenty. We go through the first time that he meets the Emperor. We go through his first meeting of the Revenant, and it actually gives you a lot of backstory to the Revenant and what they were like before he came along, because cool. Nasir Ahmet is one of the originals. The Flesh Terror, he's from Terra.
Oh, wow.
He was from the Unification Wars. He was a Revenant. So they do a lot of good history on the Blood Angels. So there's a lot of good reveals in this.
Cool. Awesome. It's a pretty rich book. Check it out. Please. Like, I'm the kind, I don't know about the listeners, but like obviously if you've made it this far, you don't care about spoilers one way or the other, whether you've read it or whether or not you're just interested in it. But I'm the kind of person, like, I can really still dig into a story. Like, this has been really enticing for me. I'm excited. Having somebody describe to you what happens does not replace the language, the building of the setting of the scene, and the experience that the author is building for you. Exactly. I'm not an artist in that way. Right. So do not take my measly, pathetic explanation of the book as a replacement for consuming the media. It just isn't. Right. Yeah. It just isn't. I can tell you firsthand, from being a person that learned and got into the lore via YouTube, the way we're doing it, the way we're helping people learn is the way I learned it. And now within the last year, actually getting into the material itself and diving in myself, knowing it and then experiencing it is vastly different. Right. Vastly different. So never take one of these as a replacement for consumption. It just isn't. Yeah. And you're robbing yourself if you think so. Yeah. We would never, in any case, want to replace your experience with the work. We just want to talk about it. Even if I can't recommend it, listen to it and make up your own mind. Because hopefully what will happen is through these reviews, you'll find out where we agree, where we differ, and then you keep that in mind and you can use us to help judge things. Oh, yeah, there we go. I know that I don't agree with them on this stuff, so when they say that's bad, I'll enjoy it. And I know I agree with them on this stuff, so when they say that's good, I'll, Yeah. You're not going to agree with everybody all the time. No. Just use them as a metric. We're a barometer for it. Exactly. So there you go. So definitely check it out. Check out any of the ones that I've recommended. Check out any of the ones that I haven't recommended. Just get into it yourself. Our videos are not nobody's videos, not anybody's. And I know for a fact they would tell you that it's not. Right. So yeah, we're adding to the discussion, not the work. Not the work. Not the experience. Absolutely. You need the experience. It's just wild. Yeah. Just wild.
So with that, I'll quit you in your ear.
All right. You want to do a little bit of Culttober business before we get out of here?
Oh, we should.
All
so the next 2 episodes are going to be slightly different as well.
Yes. For people who don't listen to the rest of like Cult Talk Net stuff, like we're part of a broader, if you're just here for Warhammer and this is your
we are a channel on a network.
Yeah. So we have other shows. October is a very big month for us. We call it Culttober.
Yep.
And just across the network,
through every means and reason you can imagine, we're all October people.
Yes.
For all the varying reasons.
Yes. All of the varying reasons.
Yep.
So we really like to do something special. We did last year, this year, there will be next year.
God willing.
Yeah, God willing. So you'll find like Halloween movie reviews and stuff like that.
And we do really try to take the time to kind of bring the channels together to cover a general feeling so that the whole network takes on that October feel.
Yeah, right. And spread the like Halloween cheer, the fall cheer.
Yep.
Pumpkin spice.
Help with the spookies.
Yes, the spookies are very important to us.
And so with that, Eric wanted to cover one of the original concepts for Cult of Lore was not just like 40K or Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or a very specific fandom, but it was also the general concept of fictional.
Yes. And like what lore is and
how it's developed.
Yeah. So
you pitched originally an idea where we covered werewolves just as a topic.
Yes.
Where they started, where they're at now, kind of some highlights, some weird stuff about it.
The evolution of like werewolf lore, like, yeah, exactly. Kind of like what did it look like in the beginning and what does it mean to us now? And where does it present itself now? And
for this, I think we're going to have to break out the sacred timeline again.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
I think so.
Back to the sacred timeline.
Yep.
I think you're right.
You just remember, our sacred timeline is cooler than Disney's because it doesn't fuck anything up because Loki's still a piece of shit.
Oh!
I hate that. God damn, that show is the worst thing to happen to Marvel ever. Ever. That one show did more damage to the Marvel Cinematic Universe than 100 Multiverse of Madnesses ever could.
Yeah.
Or any of them. Any of them. Loki's the worst. But anyway.
Sorry, we're big believers in like caring for the lore.
Yes, taking care of it and not just doing... So I wipe my ass with the rule of cool. If you ever cite the rule of cool for me, just know that I think you're a lesser species. Yeah. That is such a bullshit thing to fall on.
It's supposed to be a spice on the meal, not just the rule of how, like, cheese.
It has to make sense and be cool.
Yes.
But anyway. So for the first episode of Culttober, we're going to be covering werewolves.
Yes. And stay tuned for that because that's going to be pretty different. Like, I imagine a lot of people that follow us right now are Warhammer fans, right, I would imagine.
We're still going to be, there is still going to be a quote. Don't you fucking worry about that.
Yep. Still keeping that trend because we love it.
That's our favorite part of this whole thing is figuring out quotes to do. The next video after that will be a movie review. So there will not be a quote for that, just like with this one.
Right.
But that one will be 40K tangential.
Yes.
We will be, and Jerry's going to be joining us for that episode, although he'll be with us for the werewolves as well.
Yes.
We will be covering the movie Event Horizon and how that kind of fits into the 40K universe without technically being a 40K film.
Ooh.
And it really, spoiler alert, it really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
It works pretty well. Like,
so
in ways I hadn't realized before.
Well, yeah, me neither.
It's cool.
So there is going to be a little bit of a shakeup for the October episodes of Cult of Lore, but after that, we're coming back with the Death Corpse of Krieg.
Yeah,
that is going.
Oh, the Emperor! I'm so excited. Fuck.
Yeah, we're going to be covering those crazy bastards. So that'll be our first episode in November.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that.
All right.
So with that, guys, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And thanks for joining us in another episode of Cult of Lore. Ah, fuck. Got to do the thing.
Yep.
Catch up with us on all the things. Instagram. I don't think we're on Snapchat anymore. Whatever. YouTube.
Were we on Snapchat?
I don't know.
Never happened.
Oh,
sweet. Good.
Whatever.
Instagram probably.
Or is it Instagram? I don't know these things. What's the difference between Snapchat and Instagram? Never mind. I don't fucking care.
Michael has a link tree that exists for us that links to like all of the things that we have. It's
everywhere that the podcasts are, but for us it's YouTube.
Yes.
YouTube is our home. We're on the other things, but that's just not really what we're geared towards. So make sure you follow us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit the subscribe hit the subscribe button, turn the bell to all, because YouTube's a motherfucker. If you press personalize, they don't actually personalize it for you. Because, eat a dick.
Oh.
But anyway, bye.